Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Thamil Ananthavinayagan. I'm a legal academic at the University of Nottingham in the UK. I'm currently speaking to you from Dún in the Republic of Ireland. The reason why I'm addressing you today is in light of the current events in Sri Lanka. Having ancestral background in Sri Lanka, I would like to address the current issue that has happened today in the country. Sri Lanka, as you have followed in the headlines over the last days, weeks and months, is in economic turmoil. Sri Lanka cannot pay its debts anymore. People are struggling to make ends meet. They are depending on 1 or 2 meals at max per day. They are standing in queue for fuel. There are shortcuts all over the country, lack of access to medication. People stormed the president's palace on the 9th of July, demanding the resignation of the former president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and the resignation at all of the entire family of the Rajapaksas who have dominated the affairs in Sri Lanka for the last decades. In effect, Gotabaya Rajapaksa left the country. He fled first to the Maldives, then to Singapore, and allegedly he's on his way now to Saudi Arabia. A new prime minister was sworn in with the name of Ranil Wickremesinghe, who had been already prime minister for 5 to 6 times before. He replaced the brother of the then president Gotabaya Rajapaksa, namely Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mahinda Rajapaksa, then again, was the former president of Sri Lanka. And if this is not causing you enough headache and some confusion, well, Sri Lankan politics is a maze. Sri Lanka is emblematic for a third world country that has been corrupted by a third world elite that is using a country for its own asset in close collaboration of the manipulation of international law and in constant interaction with international institutions and regional powers. The Rajapaksa family have dominated Sri Lankan politics. After the president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, fled, the sitting prime minister was today elected as the new president. He had tried this for several other times in the past, but now he succeeded. 2 other candidates, Dulles Aluhaberma and another rather insignificant candidate from the opposition, didn't succeed. It looked like for a while that Dulles Aluhaberma might make the cut and become the next president. The opposition was confident that they are going to win the presidential election in parliament under the Sri Lankan constitution after Ranil Wickremesinghe took over as acting president. But it didn't happen so. The question is how and why that is the case. The ruling party, the SLPP, which was and is still controlled by the Rajapaksa family, put all their faith in Ranil Wickremesinghe, who belongs to a complete other party, the UNP, the United National Party. Many critics say that the Rajapaksa family trusted Ranil Wickremesinghe because he would shield them from any commission of inquiry, any criminal investigation. And it is most likely that there must have been a deal. And it is also most likely that some MPs have been bought by the Rajapaksa regime. Some of the family members are still in the country. Even 2 or 3 of the brothers were in the Sri Lankan parliament when the vote happened. Ranil Wickremesinghe, in turn, is the nephew of the president who introduced executive presidency through the Second Republican Constitution in 1978, Jaya Jayawarthana. Funny enough, the UNP, the United National Party, is often called the uncle-nephew party. And now, the nephew of the president who introduced executive presidency is now stepping in the powers as president. Although he has promised to cut the powers of executive presidency, committed to a human rights regime, one cannot oversee his role as prime minister in death camps that he has established in the 90s. One cannot ignore the fact that he has used brutal, violent language after he took over as prime minister and imposed curfew, which was, by the way, unconstitutional. He said we need to restore rule and law and order by any means. The future of Sri Lanka is rather grim. Sri Lanka, as I said earlier, is emblematic for a country of the third world that is deeply invested in corruption, that is deeply invested in the enrichment of the third world elite, that has used identity politics that can be traced back to British colonialism in order to stay in power, to divide the ethnicities and the religions in the country, intoxicating the people through singular Buddhist nationalism. By using these identity politics, they stayed in power. They have enriched themselves. They brought this country at the brink of its current situation. Ranil Wickremesinghe, frankly, in my political view and in my legal view, is not the right person to run the affairs. Sri Lanka needs people's justice. People demanded this on the 9th of July. People wanted not only Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign, but also Ranil Wickremesinghe. So soon enough, we will see demonstrators in the streets who will be chanting slogans such as "Go home, Ranil," because the third world elite has crossed its very line of power.